When I got the gig with Robert, you know, I was I'd done the album as kind of like a session kind of a thing. And I felt really stretched on it because I wasn't stylistically at home with a lot of what was happening. And, but that was good, it put me in a different place. But it was taking me away from where I was going. It was more towards experimental and jazz and very anti-commercial. So I was kind of a little bit anguished about whether to sort of go in that direction or not, you know, because it was much more a, you know, a straight-ahead rock and roll kind of a gig with Robert, from what I was listening to and really what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. It was a question of getting into a rehearsal room and trying out some tunes he was working on. He wasn't in the studio. And I just came up with some ideas that he thought were good, you know, for these tunes, and it was stage by stage. And he said, we'll come to the studio, you know, and play a bit. And so it just went from track to track.
Who recommended you for the job?
That would have been Chris Blackwell, the drummer. I was in a kind of a jazz funk band with him, you know, one of my departures in, I guess, around probably, oh dear, 1984. Yeah, about 1983, I would say. I was in that band with him, and he was a very pushy kind of a guy and a very talented musician. I used to follow him as in how to get into the business, you know, and he was always on the phone collecting phone numbers, saying, you should be using me, you know, you should be doing it. He's very, very pushy. So I thought that was the thing to do, you know. So, but he, you know, but we kind of, a lot of us hung on to his coattails, and he kind of led us into the business because he had this very sort of Thatcherite pushy attitude, you know, and we kind of hung on behind that. We weren't as pushy as he was, you know. But he was a big help, you know, in getting me going, recommending me for things, definitely.
So when you started doing that session work towards Robert's album, were you already under consideration as the touring guitarist?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the idea was originally for that record, Now and Then, he was going to have Brian Setzer and Jeff Beck and different people on each track. You know, he wasn't sure about me at all. He certainly wasn't sure about me image-wise, you know, because he wanted a guitarist with long hair. And sort of the week before he'd phoned up, I'd actually had hair down to here, and I chopped it all off, and when the phone rang, and he came down to it, and he sort of looked at me and went, well, you're going to have to grow your hair, you know, oh, I don't know about this. He wasn't sure about me. He took me stage by stage, you know, I think.
Did he get you to do anything about the hair, like let it grow until the tour begins?
There was some alarming activity because there was a video to shoot when we'd done the record, and he said, well, you know, come and be in the video. But you'll have to have hair extensions. But the first lot they gave me were made of nylon. You know, they said, we'll give them cheap hair extensions. So, and then I went on holiday with my girlfriend to Spain. It was really, really hot. And the nylon started to melt, and all his hair started to fuse, and I came, you know, and it started to fall out. And so they had to give me like proper nun's hair when I came back. You know, I guess you have to go to wherever it is nuns live and get the hair. But I used to use nun's hair, and that was more expensive. And that started to fall out as well, you know, but it was still enough to sort of finish the video with. You know. So yeah, that was all. I mean, this is ridiculously showbiz and bizarre, and a long way. You know, and I was just listening to sort of Bartok string quartets, you know, whatever, and some Miles, and it was kind of, and here I am sort of just doing this weird rock and roll thing, you know.
In terms of the creative contribution you made over the years, did that increase with the later albums you did?
Yeah, I mean, no, I made a lot of creative contribution, you know, on Now and Then, you know, because I didn't really write any of the songs, you know, but I mean, all the guitar hooks were mine, all the parts. You know, I started getting very, very confident about arranging the guitars. You know, I was listening to what other people were doing on pop records and how they were assembling things, you know. I mean, there were people like Alan Murphy and Phil Palmer and Ian Benson, the three people who were all doing the pop and rock sessions. And I was listening very carefully to what they were doing, you know, so I took a lot of inspiration for them. You know, and how creative they were with parts, you know, and if you can bring something extra to a song, you know, then that's what I saw as my strength at the time, and that's something which I learned from those players, those three session guys who were very active at the time.
So later you actually had some writing credits on the.
A little bit of.
Yeah. It was like group written. I think it was the whole band was credited for writing several of the songs on Manic Nirvana.
Yeah, but that was more of a collective writing situation, you know. And the way that works is everyone starts playing something in E, and the first person to say "let's go away" gets 50%. So it was, that was a little bit awkward, you know. It's much better. I think if someone has a concept and a direction, and they say, look, I've written this piece of music, I've got there's space for you to contribute, you know, but I've got a vision for this, you know. But we weren't really that kind of band, you know. We weren't the most natural, come together kind of band. We were put together, you know, to make this record. And then we learnt to function as a live band, you know, but we were never we didn't have an incredible amount of chemistry, you know, trying to write together, you know, in a rehearsal room or something. I mean, it's much better when, like, Phil and Robert were leading it and writing songs together. And just saying, you know, because it's obvious what the job needs to be, you know. I wasn't a strong writer at the time. I'm good at finding parts, you know, but I think really, I mean, right up to the end of Robert, I never wrote anything very, very strong, you know, a few riffs and things, you know. But I'm not a songwriter, you know, I don't see myself that way.
So what about the touring experience, the minus and the positives of that? It was a new experience on a scale you've never experienced before, I suppose.
There were so many positives. I mean, it's a kind of experience that I wish everyone could have, because it really was. It was the sort of thing I fantasised about, you know, and I'd agonised about. Is this selling out? You know, it's kind of we're going out doing these big arenas. We got a hit album. We're doing Zeppelin stuff. It's all kind of like, oh, you know, I felt the arts demon on my shoulder going, you know, a little bit, you know. And I thought, well, you know, this is an experience which I'll always regret not doing. And you know, and I can subvert it. I can get my own stuff in. You know, there's a different way of looking at this. Don't be so purist. Is what I was saying to my stuff, you know, have the experience, you know, but it was absolutely exhilarating, you know, just going with the private jet, playing to that amount of people, and just feeling the band come together, and that we could really go on stage in an arena and really do something convincing, you know. So that was great. I mean, the downside of it is just the pressure and the politics, you know, and it's not a natural situation for people to be in, existing on that kind of level, you know, getting that kind of you're kind of patronised, you know, and you're also raised up, but it's not a natural life, you know. So I kept myself slightly removed from it, hopefully, and just focused on what I was trying to do with the guitar and on the gigs, you know. But it was the most fantastic opportunity.
And so playing the Led Zeppelin material on stage, as well as a lot of new material you'd been a part of creating. Yeah. What was your favourite part of the gigs in those terms?
What was my favourite part of the gigs? Yeah. Of the Led Zeppelin stuff, or I always felt a bit weird playing the Zeppelin stuff, but I used to enjoy in the evening. Nobody's Fault But Mine was a fun one to play, you know. There's a lot of stop-start with the bass and drums, and you get a lot of drama into that, you know. But I don't think we held a candle for Led Zeppelin, you know, we were just like a poor Led Zeppelin cover band, really. Without trying to sound like Led Zeppelin, you know, so at least we weren't, you know, we were just doing our thing, you know.
And to Robert's credit, he didn't play that many Zeppelin songs anyway. I remember like 3 or 4 actually when I saw you.
I don't think we got many more than 4 or 5 at any point, yeah.
So you didn't play any of the obvious ones anyway? Like
no.
All Lotta Love or Stay With You Heaven, you never played that?
No, that would have been quite embarrassing in a funny way, because, I mean, I remember going into the beginning of Stairway to Heaven just because I was in a mischievous mood once in Paris and then stopped it, and I felt bad about that. So I'm sorry. People thought they were going to get Stairway.